Hey, we are live again. I guess we have been live for an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour and 10 minutes of that. We did not realize that YouTube took down our live stream, so we don't know who's still awake. But if you're still awake and you get the notification, we'll be happy to see you and happy to talk to you now that Aaron has seen the whole game, and we should hopefully not get any more copyright strikes for stupid reasons by stupid big companies. So we're gonna hang around here for a few minutes, and if you guys are able to jump back on, then we'll stay here and chat about what we've seen through the first three preseason games, all three preseason games, and kind of give our thoughts of performances and who we think is destined for the practice squad and who's going to get cut. Unfortunately, we had no visual notification from YouTube that our stream was removed, and so it just happened by chance that Aaron realized that YouTube removed it. So anyway, anyone who's still awake and wants to talk about preseason game number 3, practice squad, 53-man predictions, anything else, whatever, Chiefs related or life related or whatever related, go ahead and drop us some comments here. We're going to stay in here for a few minutes to give anybody a chance who's still awake and wants to chat with us to do so. And we apologize for not knowing that YouTube removed our stream an hour and 25 minutes ago, or hour and 20 minutes ago, whatever it was. But we're here back, so.
Yes, sorry it took us a while to figure it out. I mean, I don't know what we did wrong since we were talking over everything, but yeah, they're coming after our little 180 subscriber channel. It's a big man keeping us down. What's it
Yeah,
about? Gooch didn't even show his face.
it's just so weird because, we've did NFL reaction videos that were, what, an hour long, hour and a half long, and
We talked about me needing to move my bowels, even
right.
though I don't have to.
Yeah, Aaron left at some point because he wasn't feeling well. So Gooch said the answer to that is to always to eat and sit on the Gooch throne.
Those are facts, my friend. Those are facts.
Just try not to pass out.
And if all else
Well, you
fails,
can pass out. It'll make everything go easier.
just mute yourself first. But
Okay, fine.
yeah, when you sit on the Gooch throne, it's always polite to mute yourself. Otherwise, you become a viral short video that Kay edits and posts on the channel.
Well, what it really is that you feel yourself about to pass out. Instead of sitting on the throne the normal way, you turn yourself around. So you can use the back as kind of like a place to lay
Wait,
your head.
wait, isn't that the hokey pokey? You
You
turn
can even
yourself
use,
around?
you can even use the back as like a tray so you can eat cereal while you're sitting there or something.
That sounds super uncomfortable to me. Plus, I've got a small space in my bathroom. I got a trash
Well,
can there, and then some of
plus,
Liz's
Aaron, if
stuff.
if you mount a TV on your wall, you not only have a tray there for your food, but you can watch stuff.
That I'd be good with.
And
Instead
like I
of
said,
watching my phone.
you could lay your head down on the back. It'd just be like if you laid your head down on desk at school.
This took a turn really quick.
Oh,
That happened
well,
fast.
I mean, it's almost 2 a.m. and it's almost 3 a.m. where Gooch is at, so it's likely to turn there.
It's that time of night, folks.
Well, do we have anyone in the chats here?
I think the one is just me.
Any observations? Okay. Just you. No, we can talk for a couple more minutes, and
And,
if
Hell,
someone,
why don't we
and I
just give our
shared it.
thoughts on the game like we were doing, since
yeah,
nobody
all
saw
right.
it, and still post it on the channel.
Okay, so we ran really well against the Green Bay defense, but we were not able to run against the Washington or Chicago defense. So,
Right. Yeah,
what is the difference here? And Ronald Jones actually looked really good.
yeah, that's what stood out to me, and what made me skeptical is because the first two games it was basically every running back equally did not look good running the ball, and in this game it was the exact opposite. So, my question to Gooch was, you know, is it that with those two games of film that coaches and players were able to get some things corrected, and Seth Kaiser and his Chief in the North newsletter had a great one, talking about Pacheco and CEH and how they both made some mistakes, but at the same time pointing out that the offensive line also made some mistakes as well. Um,
Another
so,
thing was I didn't notice CEH. CEH was still not good. Pacheco and Rojo outshined him by a lot.
I mean, he was at least getting his 3, 4, 5 yards at basically hitting 0 yards above expected, but at least getting his expected yards or so,
But
which is
Pacheco
on par.
had to have been averaging like 8, 9, 10 yards a carry.
Yeah, I mean, I know at one point earlier in the game, he had like 23 yards on 3 carries, and he added what? It
So
seemed
that's
like a
8.
good handful of 7, 8, 10 yard runs after that. So, yeah, I can pull up the stats here and look, but
That's what I was doing too.
okay. Yeah, but that was kind of my question was, since everybody seemed to perform a lot better, was it that our coaching staff got things corrected? Players, made some adjustments, and Pacheco was trusting the blocking, starting to get comfortable with that a little bit, or was it or was it the Packers defense, or was it a combination of all three?
So Pacheco was 10 carries for 52 yards. Jones was 8 carries for 43. I'm not even seeing Clyde on here.
Yeah, so they were both around 5 yards per carry then.
Yeah.
Pacheco a little bit more, about, well, his
Well,
math
he
is
was
easy, 5.2.
5.2 and
Yeah.
Jones was actually 5.4.
You said 8
obviously,
carries for 43 yards?
Yep.
That's not 5.4 though.
Well, that's what this says. That is 5+ yards though.
All right.
8 times 5 is 40, so and then
Yeah. I guess you round up 5.3, 8. Yeah, Jones was running angry, it looked like to me. He looked like someone who was running to make a roster.
I thought Burton's carry was longer than 5 yards, but he had a 5-yard average as well.
Did he have more than just that 3rd and 1 carry?
Nope.
Yeah. I'm really wondering, like, is that a trust thing, or are they putting that on tape so that they can run some some play action and stuff off of that later on in the season? I'm just wondering.
Justin Watson had a really bad drop, and then he had a pretty good catch for a first down.
Right. And Bushman was looking good
Yes,
until he got injured there.
which I
I
didn't get to see. But he went 3 for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. I wonder
He'll,
though. That's a fractured clavicle, right? So that sounds like an injury that's going to take a long time.
I'd say around about a couple months.
I don't know if he was going to make it. Well,
I
certainly he
don't
wouldn't have
think
made it
so.
if Blake Bell hadn't gotten injured. But with Bell's injury, some of the timeline I've seen on that, Bushman could have made, theoretically, he could have made the team until he got injured. But,
If he
now
was more of an inline blocker, maybe.
well, I mean, Bell's the only one who can, right? I mean, basically, Bell's the only guy who is mainly a blocking first guy. So,
Right.
but I mean, the way Bushman was out there, you know, I think it would have been an interesting decision for them based on what he was putting on tape. But you know, if they were going to have to make a decision to cut him or waive him or whatever, and try to put him on the practice squad or whatever, certainly this made it easier for them to keep him and just redshirt him if that's what they want to do.
What was Bell's injury?
He did something to it. I think it was a hip flexor tear or something.
It sounded like he was done for the season.
Well, it sounded to me like it was going to be possibly a 2 to 3 month thing. They've already done the surgery, so I mean that helps because you have 2 weeks between this game and the start of the season. So, but yeah, I mean, the thing though with the IR is they changed a lot of the rules. So now a player can come back after 4 games instead of I think it was 8 before, and they also increased the amount of times that, like, the amount of total times that players can come back from IR up to 8 as well. So, and the same player can come back multiple times. I don't know if there's a cap on 2, but at least 2 times. But it's going to count for 2 of the 8 times that a team gets. So, yeah, the IR is definitely looser now than it was in the past. Part of that was COVID rules, and they've kept some and adapted some since then. So
Does Jordan Franks block? He's only like 232.
is this a dude? He played for the Packers before? Am I thinking of the right guy?
Let me click on him and see.
I think this is a guy that played for the Packers.
Just says 2 years experience. He's 26 years old.
So since I know that this live won't get kicked or we're gonna post it, I'm gonna let my petty come out for just a minute, and
Sounds good.
I'm gonna say, hoo-wee. Jordan Love sure did look like the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, didn't he? Sure looked like the guy that was going to replace Aaron Rodgers, that Hall of Famer. Man, that was a hell of a pick, Green Bay. I tell you what, you even moved up in the draft to get him. That is a steal, if you ask me.
Yeah, I have no idea what that move was about. And it definitely hurt Rodgers' ego and feelings, I suppose.
Well, I mean, it really ended up hurting Green Bay when you look at all the damage, all the fallout, having to pay him more, and everything that came about simply because of that.
Giant distraction from the crybaby bitch. Who is Aaron Rodgers?
So here's my question. I want to hear what you guys think about this. So if Blake Bell is out for a while now, and we're assuming they were going to carry 4 tight ends because that's the way it really looked like Bell. It was looking like Bell was going to make the team, no matter what. And I'm not going to say otherwise because I know how Jason Dunn, feels about that. But with Bell injured now and with Bushman, looking like, hey, maybe he could step into that spot, and then Bushman, getting injured. Do we still see them taking 4 tight ends? Do we think that maybe they take a 7th receiver now? Gooch, I mentioned it to Aaron earlier in the live stream that YouTube took down that I could see a case for clearly Watson, but I could see a case for Darius Fountain, and I know people will mention Josh Gordon, but who was the other guy, Aaron? Who did I say?
And now Corey Coleman is on the scene.
Coleman. Yeah, because he had some decent special teams plays, especially, and I think
returns.
He even caught a ball or 2, I think. So could we see them without having 4 tight ends now? Could we see them throwing in a 7th wide receiver? We don't have to worry about running backs.
Steven
right?
Ehlers showed up.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how to say
dropped
that.
in though.
I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so it's Ehlers. Steven Ehlers. We appreciate you coming by and saying hi.
Yeah. Have a good one. We weren't sure who would be back up after it took us almost an hour and a half to realize that YouTube took down our stream for some stupid reason. So anyway, yeah, he says you're saying it right, Aaron. But yeah, what do you guys think with Bell going down and Bushman looking for a minute that he could replace Bell and then getting injured? You think that makes a way for 7 wide receivers? I would say 4 running backs, not counting tight end, but with Gore getting injured and everything else, I don't even think that there would be 4 running backs, not counting Burton. So, what's the move here? Is it Buechele making it and 3 quarterbacks, or what do you guys think happens now?
Does Rojo make it now?
Okay. So I think we're reading way too much into stuff. Bushman wasn't going to make this squad. He was going to be a practice squad, period.
I agree.
Just because he had a game, people forget that we still got Gray, we still got Fortson, we still got Kelsey.
He would have had to have stepped up into blocking, and
right.
I think it's going to end up being Gray at this point. It does most of that.
They're going to bring, because of the IR rules, they're going to bring Bell back off of IR. They're going to allow him to make the 53-man roster. Then they're going to put him on IR again, because then they can designate him to come back. If he is on IR when they do the cuts to 53, his season is over. And he's not doing that.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what the injury is?
It's just a hip flexor. He just had to have surgery on it.
We are confirmed on the hip flexor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had surgery. So how soon could he possibly be back?
He'll be out a while. They'll still, if they bring him back and put him on IR, he's out a minimum of 4 games, and so they can bring him back after 4 games.
Which would be fine because Fortson is there. Fortson, Kelsey, Gray, and you can use the fullback to block if you have to.
Right, but I mean, if we're talking about in this case, then they're planning on going 3 tight ends. So the question is, what do they do with that spot that presumably was going to Blake Bell?
They're not going to keep 4 running backs. They're not doing that. They're not going to keep Buechele. I think they're going to let either Buechele go or trade him. That's what I think.
Hey, Holly finally showed up.
because they didn't even split the reps between Bouchel and Crum. They let Bouchel have the majority of the second half, like
Everybody's
second, third, and most of the fourth. Like I
Yeah, I
everybody
think,
don't
say
know if I
hi
even
to
saw
Holly.
Crum.
hey Holly, I think it was audition time for Bouchel. I think he's gone, and they can get Crum to the practice squad, so they don't have to waste a spot holding on to three quarterbacks because nobody's coming after Crum.
Agreed.
So I'm going to counter that a little bit and say that I think that it's possible that they kept Bouchel in to see, to have the receivers have Bouchel instead of having Crum throw to them so they could evaluate receivers and maybe running backs and offensive line as opposed to worrying about evaluating Crum, because I think they clearly saw enough through the first two games that they knew that Crum's not making the roster regardless.
Now you got to have a quarterback, and they'll let Bouchel go if they can get something for him. Like I don't know if you noticed, like a lot of the guys that we were like, do they make the roster? They got a lot of shine tonight. Rojo, Bouchel, Coleman, Powell. I mean, just putting it out there. There's a lot of people that got a lot of looks tonight, so they could put good film on tape, or what is it? Good play on film.
I agree. Holly Buchel did do really well tonight, and Steve and I were impressed. Steve was even saying, while our video was taken down, that yeah, Buchel, he's got more confidence in Buchel than he does Henny.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Henne just looks. I understand that he's the safe guy, but he just looked uninspiring. He looked like a guy who was just out there going through the motions and collecting a paycheck to me. Like, there was no. Like, with Chad Henne out there, I don't have confidence in the team, matriculating the ball down the field and having sustained drives and scoring. And, we saw that one play, the 30-yard pass to Sky Moore where Sky got held there. And I think that actually helped Sky because I think Sky was overrunning that. Like Chad Henne, it looked like he was struggling to throw it 30 yards. And I'm not trying to dog him because he's younger than I am. So, I'm not making old man jokes there. But I just had no confidence that if you need a backup quarterback, that Chad Henne is at this point in his career. And I understand, anything can happen, but that was a year and a half ago, and we're all old enough, we understand how quickly our bodies can age. And I understand he's a professional athlete, but still, like, to me, the reference I gave Aaron was, to me, Chad Henne is like Stanley on The Office. He's showing up, he's there, he's collecting his paycheck. You're not getting much more from him. So
they're not expecting much from him. They don't anticipate Mahomes getting hurt. Henne is a mental is the seen more than Mahomes guy in the room, and he's there for Mahomes to bounce ideas off of. He's not there. Nobody signed him with the intent of him playing. Now, if he has to, he's been a franchise quarterback before, so he can dink and dunk his way down the field. But he's not there like for anything other than to be a sounding board for Mahomes. That's it.
We don't need that anymore. We have Matt Nagy back, so we don't need that anymore.
We didn't have Matt Nagy when we signed him to the contract.
To be fair, he always is unimpressive, and if he even plays the preseason.
I want Gooch to repeat what he just said there. Did you say we didn't have Matt Nagy when we signed him back?
Well, when he had that contract, we didn't have Matt Nagy then.
Okay, you're kind of making my point, though. You bring Chad Henne back because you don't have that sounding board. Now Matt Nagy gets fired, and you bring him back, and you have that same guy.
That's not making a point at all, because we already signed him, so that's dead cap because it's a 1-year deal. That's
I
that's
thought
not
you
making any kind of point.
I thought you guys
It,
just
it
said the same thing.
I'm speechless right now. You re-sign Chad Henne before you have that guy in Matt Nagy. Then you bring Matt Nagy back. You don't need Chad Henne, and you can't throw out the argument it's dead cap because we're going to see some veterans that we've already talked about, free agent guys that
The
they're going to
reality
cut and they're
is,
going to waste $1 or $2 million.
Matt Nagy didn't play quarterback in the NFL and play other defenses. Chad Henne
I thought he
has.
did. He didn't? I thought he did.
Against these up-to-date defenses? Wasn't that your quarterback?
No.
Yeah, I mean, Henny's closer. Look, I would pay Henny. Y'all can call it a wasted contract or whatever like that. You give the kid somebody that he trusts, who's been with him for the last 3 or 4 years, and just pay him. What would be the problem?
I mean, we're talking every year. Is this the year that we move on from Chad Henne?
Everybody knows this is Chad Henne's last year.
I think it will be.
Nobody expected him to come back this year. I expected them to re-sign Chase Daniel because he was younger and still more mobile than Henne and had a better arm.
And already knows the offense.
Exactly. And he was a free agent.
Yeah, and I love him. He's a Mizzou guy.
And Andy likes him. That's what I really thought was going to happen, especially when they didn't re-sign him immediately and they let Matt Moore and them both kind of hit free agency. It was like, oh shit, here we go. Chase Daniel back to KC.
I didn't get it.
Chase Daniel was a stud, and he made $60 million playing football.
I love that guy.
And he's probably one of the few.
Mizzou.
He's probably one of the few Mizzou players I actually like.
Whatever. I don't like any freaking Alabama guys.
So
that's
because you have no taste.
It's because I don't like the team that gets everybody every year. Everything's handed to them on a platter.
Well, not last year because Georgia won, but anyway.
Spoiled bastards.
Shut your mouth.
Back to the actual question then. I mean, regardless, there's an open spot somewhere, and if it's not going to the quarterback room and it's not going to the running back room, where's it going? Because it's certainly not going to the offensive line room. I mean, those guys looked like you could cut most of second string on.
It's going to a pending free agent.
Okay. I mean, it could be, and that was something that, I believe they brought up during the broadcast, reminding people that, I think they were talking to Trent Green about, when cuts get made and, talking about the reality is that there will likely be somebody who initially makes the 53 until Brett Veach sees, this is a guy we wanted and he just got cut. And so they'll initially make the 53 and then they'll lose their job as the Chiefs pick up somebody else who got cut. And with 27 cut downs per team coming, I mean, that's what we're looking at 837 cuts from other teams. That's a lot of players. I think that math is right.
Did you guys want to comment on Holly's chat?
Yeah, Holly, we didn't even realize that they took it down. I guess they emailed us, but I mean, who does a live and checks their phone? And so
email.
It was something about spam or deceptive practices or something. We don't know. The only thing we can think of is it's some way because we were I was showing Aaron the condensed version of the game in the NFL.
Since I was working during the game, and we wanted to talk about the game.
Right. I mean, we were talking.
And I was giving my live reaction. Yeah.
But whatever.
We were talking over it like the entire time, except for when I was muted on accident.
So Holly said she feels like Henny in this point of his career where he just needs to prevent some serious injury. Reliable, maybe, yes, but not big plays. So,
and not his legs, because we saw him.
Right, yeah. Here's my
run
concern. The last time we saw Chad Henne, teams weren't playing us the way that they're playing us now. You know, they weren't dropping 7 and 8 in. And the last time we saw Chad Henne, I believe, right, was the really nasty Mahomes injury. And Chad Henne threw an interception in the red zone, if I recall correctly, to the 5 or 10 yard line. That's the last time I remember seeing Chad Henne was that game. I could be wrong on that, but we had.
Yeah, because he finished the Cleveland game that year. Mahomes' concussion.
So to my knowledge, we haven't seen him having to face, you know, all this pre-snap 70+% too high shell looks and dropping 7 or 8 in there. You know, like I was telling Aaron earlier when we were watching this, there's a reason why, you know, a lot of times during the last season or so, you know, Mahomes was the leading rusher, and in this preseason, at least through the first 2 games, I believe, I haven't looked at this one. Obviously, the running backs were doing a lot better, but I'm pretty sure the first 2 games, Shane Buechele was the leading rusher on this team. And so I'm concerned about having an immobile quarterback back there and a guy with a weak arm if you have teams dropping 7 or 8 into coverage. So, you know, that's a lot of it for me. I haven't seen Chad Henne lead this team to very many first downs. And so, you know, of course, nobody expects or wants Mahomes to get injured, but if something were to happen.
He was already old and slow when he tried to run for that first down in the playoffs. So where he's at now is better.
Here's another thing that you have to take into account, guys. The guy that runs that team trusts the veteran who knows his playbook more than he trusts a second or third year guy if Mahomes goes down.
Absolutely, but I'm starting to lean towards Buechele myself.
Which is fine, but if you look at Andy Reid and his playbook, Mahomes has it mastered. Do you think Buechele or Henne has it mastered more?
Well, Henne, obviously, but
then that's who the boss is going to go with. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't give a damn if you can run, because as long as you can throw the ball 5 yards, which Henne can, Andy can design his whole thing around screens and dump offs and stuff like that. There's plenty of ways to move the ball.
Well, they could do the same thing with Buechele, though. Except he's got legs to get away from pressure.
The only time Buechele has looked his best is when it's 4 minutes and under.
Right. So you just...
I mean, that's a plus to me. I mean, you're doing it in crunch time. I don't see why that's a negative. My concern with Henne, though, you talk about screens and stuff. The defense doesn't have to play half as deep when you have Henne in there because he doesn't have the arm strength. So all of a sudden, they're breaking on your screens and your short passes even easier than before, and they can even cheat a little bit for the run game, way more than they can with Buechele, and certainly infinitely more than they can with Mahomes.
So you just make it a quick pace.
So in reality, you guys are just nitpicking.
Nitpicking? Not at all. I mean, I can't think of a reason to keep Henne at this point.
He is not what he used to be.
I mean, the one argument, or the 2 arguments you give is that he knows the playbook and he's a veteran that Pat can bounce things off of, and yet you've conceded he won't be on the team next year. So Pat apparently doesn't. We already know Pat doesn't need that next year, but we know he needs it this year. So I don't know where the nitpicking is. It's kind of reading the tea leaves and looking at what's happened.
Not really, because what y'all really are saying is like, right now you're trashing Henne, but y'all are praising Henne 2 years ago. So now it's like, oh, I don't want him here, but Buechele isn't even half as smart as Henne. who has seen 400 more games than Bouchel has. And so then you're like, oh, if it goes down, I'd rather have Bouchel, who's never really seen live fire, for real live fire in an NFL game, versus a guy who was a franchise starter for years, regardless of what the team was played for.
I still love the guy.
No, but this is where y'all going. Give me the inexperience and the guy who can't lead this team at all because he's got 2 years in.
Assumption.
But because he can run, let's go ahead and do that versus a guy who's seen infinitely more than that guy. Let's say Mahomes got hurt tomorrow.
You lose
Okay,
less.
let's have Bouchel start the season of a team that is supposed to be a Super Bowl contender.
If you lose Mahomes tomorrow, Brett Veach is making phone calls to bring in a starter, regardless of whether it's Henny or Bouchel.
Forget all that. It's not even about that. Henny or Bouchel. This is where y'all at.
I'm still taking Bouchel because of his legs.
Oh my God!
And his arm.
You guys are actually idiots.
Let me tell you something, moron. You know who you've described, Gooch? You've described what you want is for us to keep Dan Sorensen and start him over Brian Cook. That is what you've described. A smart player who knows the playbook and isn't athletic enough to execute it.
You guys are idiots.
You lose less putting Bouchel in over Henny. But yeah, I'll concede that he's got a lot more experience and he can still run the offense, but I am okay starting to move towards
He has the brain, but he doesn't have the arm or the talent, the physical talent anymore to do it. And you know what? I praise Dan Sorensen for plays that he made 2 or 3 years ago that he can no longer make today. So if Dan Sorensen for some reason stayed on this team, and he probably would have gotten snaps over Brian Cook because Steve Spagnuolo had the same idiotic mentality, we'd be having the same discussion. Brian Cook is way more athletic, and because he's never played in the NFL and he's never been tested before, and he doesn't know Spags' playbook, that he would magically have to not start or get snaps over Sorensen because Sorensen is a very cerebral player and he knows the playbook and he could be trusted as a wily veteran.
But he really couldn't.
I mean, this is where we're at. But we've seen 3 preseason games. We've seen games with Henny in actual NFL games. And the last ones we've saw, the preseason games and the Browns game, it wasn't pretty. He wasn't able to move the ball. And again, as I said, if teams are dropping 7 or 8 in, there's going to be times where you have to take off. Mahomes has to take off in games. There were a lot of times he was the leading rusher. In the preseason, the first 2 games at least, Bouchel was the leading rusher. Henny can't do that. Henny cannot force a defense to be honest. They don't respect his arm and they don't respect his feet. Unless we have a heck of a run game and Andy just does some amazing things with the passing game. Like if you were talking about putting him on the Browns, maybe. But on this team, I don't see how we can do it. If he had to play, I'm saying. So yes, if my choice in a game was Henny or Bouchel, my main concern with Bouchel would be his nerves. But I'd have a lot more concerns with Henny.
Well, and I'm willing to put up with a mistake here and there to get a young player some time in and get that experience like Henny. Hopefully we're up by quite a bit.
Right.
Which we should be the way the offense is looking so far. First string at least. And yeah, have we seen Bouchel with the first offensive line? Because we all think the rest is crap. Second and third string offensive line.
I don't know if he did or not. I know Henny got the first 2 drives, right? I think the first two or three drives, and then they took him out.
And he was not looking good, but he never looks good in preseason. So
I don't know if Buechele. Yeah, I don't remember if Buechele got to play with the first team offensive line or not, but yeah.
That could be where he got his touchdowns. He
So
didn't have first string receivers, obviously, with Bushman in there, but
right.
he did well with that.
So I think it's important for us to say we're speculating, that players that saw a lot of action are being showcased. Because,
Absolutely.
again, there were players like Brian Cook, I believe, who played basically the whole game. Obviously we weren't showcasing Brian Cook to trade, so yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on who the player is. We really have no idea.
Right.
Maybe they were wanting to hide Crum. I haven't seen anything from him that would make me even, want to hide him, but they're looking at other things, and they also have practices and lots of other things, and so kind of one of the hidden things is a player's ability to learn the playbook. What we do know last week from Justin Watson on that beautifully thrown touchdown from Buechele to Watson is that Buechele at least knows enough that he called an audible on that play that led to that touchdown. So there's at least that. But
do we want to answer Steven's question?
Yeah, let's move on and hit some questions here.
Do you guys think the Chiefs will target a QB in the next year's draft to be a competent backup, maybe between rounds 3 and 6?
I mean, I think they have enough picks next year.
I could see them going for one in the late rounds, just, yeah, kind of like Crum and Buechele. They might even wait and get them in the, as, UDFAs.
Right, yeah.
But they'll bring somebody in.
Yeah, one way or the other. Obviously they've been bringing in UDFAs, but they've had, Henny and they had Moore, so that was kind of a different situation there. It's hard to say they're going to they're going to target a quarterback in the draft, because everything I've seen from Brett Veach is he's fairly honest in, taking the best player available, when they're drafting. So, I mean, if it's a close thing, if they have a quarterback that they like, and it's close, would they take that guy, at that round? Maybe, but I would tend to think that they probably are prioritizing other positions ahead of it. And I'd be, I guess I'm kind of leaning towards thinking that, however they feel about Crum or Buechele, that they're probably just going to look to roll with someone who's currently, on the practice. They put on the practice squad or carry on the 53 if they go with three quarterbacks. And I would say this, because they did elevate Buechele to the 53 last year instead of letting him go to another team. So to me, that speaks something, to how they feel about his ability to perform if they needed him, because they could have simply, not elevated him and taken up a 53-man spot last year. So,
are we able to protect a couple guys like they have in the past?
Yeah, I'd have to see if they changed the rules, and they might not have finalized all the practice squad rules yet. But I think last year you were able to protect, what was it, 3 guys? 3 or 4 guys a game.
I was thinking
I think.
2, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
it could have been 2. It might have been 2 or 3, but yeah, somewhere around there. I want to say three guys a game that they were able to protect. But yeah. So
What's your opinion on this question, Gooch? Gooch.
I don't think they target one.
In the draft.
Yeah.
I could see that as well.
Next year it'll be defensive linemen.
I'm good with that.
Defensive linemen, wide receivers.
yeah.
Because your secondary room is going to be super duper young, but your defensive line is going to start getting old. You need to start trying to find a replacement for Chris Jones. You're going to have somebody on the other end of Karlaftis.
Okay, it's looking like Holly is agreeing with you, Gooch. Maybe keep Henny one more year and Buechele, learn more from him, and Mahomes to keep Buechele the backup for next year. What else do we have?
It sounds like she says that as keeping Buechele as your third quarterback on the 53. I believe
as long
that,
as we have
right.
room.
That's kind of implied with this question. Or is there not enough room for that?
I don't think they keep Buechele.
You think practice squad for him, and is he going to be able to get to the practice squad?
No, I think they're going to try and move him because he's not going to make the practice squad, and they can't afford with this young ass team to have 3 quarterbacks on the main roster. They can't.
They're going to trade him.
The reason why Veach signed Crum or got Crum here as a UDFA is because he was the number 1 ranked UDFA and he was a quarterback. And you got to have all the position spots you can have. This team can't be no bigger than Mahomes, Henny, and then a practice squad quarterback. It can't be because you're going to need all the spots to fill everywhere else.
Because you want 7 receivers.
Nah, I don't want 7 receivers. For all intents and purposes, I love Josh Gordon, but he's lost it.
Yeah.
Even a half a step is too much for him because he really where he excelled at was being an explosive mid-range like Juju player. You know what I'm saying? But if he could surprise you and get down the field, but he's lost a half a step, so everybody can keep up with him. He can't even get separation in 10 yards. It's like
Corey Coleman has been more impressive than him, and he would have to be number 7. And then you still have Cornell Powell somewhere in the background.
Cornell Powell's a practice squad player. If he's not practice squad, I'm not watching the Chiefs this year because Dan is going to be unbearable.
That is for sure.
Well, I mean, like I said in the other live stream that they took down, Aaron Parker on that catch, that was way better than anything I've seen out of Powell in all 3 preseason games. And Aaron Parker is a guy I didn't even know. I had to look up who he was. So, but man, that catch was pretty amazing. But I don't know. We haven't did our revised 53 right now, but I'm not sure how many offensive linemen outside of the first team. There really are that are gonna make the roster at this point because
I don't.
The second team has and beyond has looked really ugly.
If you want me to be, this is about as petty as I can get. I think the starting 5. I think the starting 5 make it, and then Prince Winnebago.
So you don't even think Kennard's going to make the 53? You think he goes to the practice squad?
I don't.
Are you saying 6 linemen?
I think he's saying they're going to pick up some other teams' cuts.
Right.
That our guys are that bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Wiley, look, think about it. Brown, Tooney, Creed, Smith. We all know are the top 4 in that room, right?
By a long shot.
Right.
Then there's a drop off to Wiley. Then there's a drop off to everybody else.
Yep.
Like Wiley is the only
is
one.
serviceable.
Right, he's serviceable, but he's second tier. And then you have to think
I
about
would put Allegretti, not too much lower than Wiley, though.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I love Allegretti.
He's serviceable if he's between two good players. I think he's completely passable.
I actually forgot Allegretti was on the team. My bad.
And at guard,
but not Ryder. I don't see any reason for Ryder to be on this team.
Nope,
no, not whatsoever.
I haven't seen anything out of Kennard. I haven't seen anything out of he's got this chip on his shoulder, but he's had what 1 or 2 good blocks the whole preseason.
And Allegretti's had a bunch of time at center. I don't know why he wouldn't be the backup center.
Yeah.
If need be.
Well,
I really
that
think
never happens.
I would not be surprised if we had 7 offensive linemen and then we started picking up other people's cuts.
Okay. I'd be good with that. Roderick Johnson completely missed.
Because
I thought he was the
forget all the Henny Bouchel talk. It doesn't mean a fucking thing if you don't have the line to block for either one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was part of the reasoning was if somebody gets hurt, he can actually get away, whereas Henny can't anymore.
All right, let's just move on from that because none of us are going to change our minds on that. So
probably not. So Gary and Christian, you don't think we keep him?
He was a decent starter last year for the Texans.
Right.
Well,
I'll just say this, if Austin Ryder makes this team, I might join Gooch in not watching, the team if Cornell Powell makes it, because I don't want to be super mean to players, but I can't imagine that our long snapper James Winchester. Hey, look, Ollie, I know special teamers by name. That James Winchester couldn't do much worse as the backup center if you didn't want to use Allegretti as the backup center.
Kidding.
So,
yeah,
you could put me out there as the backup center, and okay, I'll probably make.
I don't know why they don't do
that. I've been a football fan my whole life, and I never could understand why the long snapper wasn't the backup center or the center period.
Yes, me either. I don't get it.
It's the same movement. I don't understand how.
He's just not chucking it back as far.
No, it's so I think there's a really good reason for this, like the spin and everything on there. Like you have to have that muscle memory built up, and to kind of go to kind of make a little bit of a correlation here. It's kind of like Butker and his missed PATs and his long field goals, and so you're using different strides and I guess I'll use the word cadence here, as you're approaching the ball to kick it. And as a long snapper, the spin and the strength and everything on those is different, and so you get the muscle memory, in there, because you got to be right on it. You got to have the right spin on there, whether it's a punt or a field goal, and you go from hiking the ball in shotgun or under center or whatever to to doing it on special teams, and you're messing up the muscle memory, I do believe. Yeah, Holly, we talked about Bushman, and I had wondered if maybe he could be the Blake Bell fill-in until he got injured as well. But Gooch said that would have never been part of the plan. But I think he definitely looked good and looked like like he could be a guy, just on the limited snaps we could see. But you can definitely
He's
tell
athletic.
what quarterbacks are used to taking snaps with what receivers and tight ends, right?
I think Gray's going to have to be the inline blocker, and I don't think Bushman could have stepped in to do that. So, yeah, he would have been practice squad.
Well, we need to get Jason Dunn in there to work with some of these guys on some of these tight ends on their blocking.
Absolutely.
He could probably help some of the offensive linemen as well.
Yeah. Roderick Johnson.
She says Pacheco more on punts and Brian Cook as well.
And Corey Coleman was kicking ass on returning tonight.
She says she's on the fence about Corey Coleman there.
How, Holly?
So I guess this has been a while now. About 20 minutes ago, Steven said that he respectfully disagrees. Steven, you don't have to respectfully disagree with Gooch. You can disrespect. No, I'm kidding. Said, look at Reed's quarterbacks. They all had the ability to run. Alex Smith, Mahomes, Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, etc. Well, he did have what we had. Was it Kevin? No, not Kevin Kolb. Who was it?
That was in Philadelphia.
Oh.
What?
Not Kolb though. I'm blanking on. Nick Foles. He wasn't really a running quarterback, right?
He could, yeah. He got hurt a couple times doing it, but he had some speed to him. Some. He's still a white guy.
I mean, the easy counter argument though is, you're talking about the starting quarterback, and he's kept Henney there for what, 4 years now, 3 years, 4 years. You brought in Matt Moore for what, 2 years. Moore had a little bit of athleticism. Henney did. I don't know if he just doesn't look like he does, anymore to me. And man, once you start getting to your mid 30s like that, your testosterone and stuff drops. Like you can start to age really quick. So I don't know.
Yeah, Holly, it did get a little chippy. I try not to partake in that.
Chips.
Sorensen officially cut. I don't know. Was
he?
cut,
I haven't checked.
We checked last week.
I'll have to check here.
Are you doing it?
Yep. If he doesn't now, I would think in the next 27. Well, nothing is initially popping up. I'm going to keep going through the news here.
While we were watching the game that got taken down, I was impressed with Cook and Harris. Harris was really getting in on. He had 3 great plays in a row. Unless I was missing something with the condensed version. But yeah, he was popping, and I was impressed with him last game. So he's going to beat out, was it Bush or Carter?
Who were you talking about?
Harris is going to beat out Carter.
Yeah, I think we were talking about. I think Carter is the one who's like, what is it, like a $1.4 or $2 million cap hit or something? I don't know. I'd have to go back and.
I think we're going to put him on the practice squad, if anything, which is strange with getting that amount of money on the
1.77 million, and it's guaranteed. for Jermaine Carter.
Well, that's not a ton. It's not like $9 million for Macklin. Frickin' Dorsey.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything Googling it. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for saying Google.
So yeah, it'll be Chanel, Bolton, and Gay, of course.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think Harris, man, he looked
and Lee?
quick.
Harris and Lee.
It might come up between Lee and Carter how they were evaluated on special teams if they were both getting special team snaps.
Bush had a really good special team snap.
All right, I'm going to check
That
out the
tackle
Saints
was
roster
awesome.
here.
I believe he makes the team, but not Carter.
So thoughts on what we've seen from the defense? You know, a lot of what I expected. We're seeing better tackling. We're seeing, you know, more athletic plays, a lot quicker. You know, we've seen some things that need to get cleaned up, you know, from the young guys. I've seen some veterans that look slow. Yeah, I don't know that there's been a whole lot that hasn't been expected there, but you know, to kind of regurgitate something I had on Twitter, I guess now technically yesterday, you know, was something that came up in my time hop last year, a tweet by I think Matt Lane, or I think that's who it was. Maybe it was Craig over there at KCSN, talking about how dominant our first team defense was last year in the preseason. And we clearly saw how well that translated once the season began. But, you know, in my mind, you look at last year, you look at, you know, all the things that it took to have the 32nd ranked defense. And that was Spags being stubborn, you know, with Juan Thornhill, you know, setting over the cerebral Daniel Sorensen. It took Willie Gay injured. It took Spags being stubborn and slowly easing Nick Bolton in. You know, it took us not really having anyone on the other side of Frank Clark
Then start
because
playing
of
him less and start getting gashed constantly.
right.
Again.
And we didn't really have an effective player on the opposite side of Frank Clark because we had a failed Chris Jones experiment. So we didn't even have Chris Jones in the middle, you know, and you start looking at all these things adding up. And then you have a completely veteran secondary, and they were still having, you know, communication issues. So I expect communication issues from these guys, you know, although Justin Reed seems like a very smart player, and he talked about, you know, a lot of the secondary guys being really smart themselves. So maybe it won't be as bad as, you know, as I expect. But even if it's as bad or worse, you know, so what? They're quicker, you know, they're more reactive. And, you know, at the end of the day, the veterans last year were having miscommunications. So, you know, of course, I expect it from the young guys, right? It's like I have 8 kids, and there are things that I'm okay with if my kids do it, because I expect little kids to, you know, do these things or act you know these ways. When one of my kids takes a crap on the floor, it's completely different than if an adult did it, and my reaction would be completely different than if an adult did it. You know, I'm gonna expect it from the rookies. I don't expect it from veterans like Sorensen and Matthew and Ward and, you know, all those guys that they had to have all those issues. So, you know, and again though, we're kind of coming back to the Henne and Buechele thing, but for me, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic about the defense because I can't imagine a scenario where they're actually worse than they were last year. Yeah, I can. The scenario would be Spags starting guys like Jermaine Carter Jr., Spags starting, you know, Bush over Cook, and I'm going to throw up in my mouth. So I'm just going to, you know, not really seeing Chanel, us not really seeing Karloftis, which doesn't really seem possible now, with the start he's had to the preseason. But I mean, that's the scenario to me that it would take. But otherwise,
No, I'm not going to.
I've seen a lot of positive from the young guys. So,
Gooch, do you have any thoughts on this question?
Gooch might be asleep now. It's almost 4 a.m. where he's at.
Oh, jeez. I definitely was not planning on going this long.
I'm just listening.
Well, it didn't
have
help
any
that we
thoughts?
talked for so long before we realized that they took the stream down.
Yeah, which there was some good stuff there. We're going to try and repost at least some of it.
Saints roster is still showing Sorensen on the team for what that's worth, Holly. I
Let's
don't know
hope
if
we
he
get to see
survives the next 27 cuts, though.
Don't we play the Saints this year?
I don't think so.
Seems like it to me, but yeah, I don't remember for sure. But Gooch, any thoughts on defensive guys? Or are we moving on?
On defensive guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, your
So
thoughts
far.
on what you've seen from the defense so far?
Young and hungry. I like it. Thornhill seems to be all the way back. Seems to be playing with, I don't want to call it thinking. I think he's playing more now without worrying about the knee. You can tell in his cuts and the way he just attacks.
Right.
Now. I think all those boys back there, it'd be hard for me to choose. Because the one thing they are all quick and they all like to hit. Even McDuffie making open field tackles. Like, I was like, when was the last time our corners did that?
Right.
Marcus Peters? Did he even want? Yeah, Marcus Peters. I just like him. Who laid that hit on the Commanders? And I was like, whew, that was nasty.
Harris has been laying the wood lately.
That's the thing is that I think this defense needed an attitude adjustment, and unfortunately, well, maybe not. Yeah, unfortunately, the guys with all the knowledge and experience are making business decisions, and the kids who are going to make mistakes are the ones laying the lumber.
Right.
I think this defense is going to be pretty good, regardless of who we keep, because the one thing I've seen out of all of them is they all tackle, they all hit, they all rally to the football. Like, that's really what you want on defense. And I
Thank
think
you
we're
for
gonna.
the excellent question, Burnett.
I think we're gonna have one of those defenses, those sneaky, good defenses that nobody wants to play.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the plan. What were your feelings on Boodle, Gooch? Because I think Aaron and I came to the conclusion that he's definitely practice squad.
Oh, Boodle's,
What we saw.
yeah, Boodle hasn't done enough.
Lammons, I actually have more questions about.
Who?
I mean, Lamons, Chris Lamons.
Whatever you
yeah.
want to call him.
Yeah.
He won't
Yeah,
make this.
I thought it was Lamons too.
Is it not Lemons?
It's Lamons.
Yeah, I guess it's Lamons. That's what.
We don't know.
But I mean,
I don't think he makes it.
if he does, it's going to be because of Tobe, with the special teams, since he was a core special teams player.
He had
last
some
year,
impressive plays last game.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
did
know
have
about
some
this
decent
one
in
yet.
coverage, but
He had a pass breakup and a great interception.
I mean, it's hard because do you feel like this game, where did it leave Joshua Williams to? Because he had two big, well, the second one could have been big if they'd called roughing the kicker on that field goal block instead of running into the kicker.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah, that was him. So, again, I said during the other live stream, I still thought that when the kicker was doing his follow through, he saw him out of the corner of his eye, and he hopped on one foot over to make him run into him. But regardless, he had a 15-yard personal foul that gave the Packers new life, and then he had that very well, if it had been called roughing the kicker, they would have had first and goal at like the half-yard line or 1 yard line or whatever it was. They would have had new life on that. So, he had, I think he also, is he the one who had, I think he had a terrible, maybe that was the Commanders game I'm thinking of, he had a terrible open field tackle attempt as well. But he also had some decent plays as well. So, and he was what, a fourth rounder?
I thought he kind of fell off from what I've seen so far of this game.
So I don't know what they do there. I mean, that's a tough one. I don't.
Well, we could go over our corners. Are we keeping 5 or are we keeping 6?
Man, I don't know. I think a lot of it, again, it's just going to come to special teams, right? Going back and looking at the special teams.
I think Lamont doesn't make it because Johnson does.
So we've got Snead, Joshua Williams, Watson,
McDuffie,
Fenton. We're not sure about.
I think if he's healthy, I think he makes it. I don't think they would cut him. I think they would definitely try to trade him.
I would love to keep Fenton. I like him.
I mean, I wonder though if McDuffie, who I see as a quicker and more athletic Fenton, kind of makes Fenton redundant. Because he's shorter too, isn't he? He's shorter and he's slower.
The plan is to have McDuffie, Fenton, and Snead starting.
Right.
So those are the top 3, and then Joshua Williams, Watson. But I don't know how bad Fenton's injury is.
Yeah.
And then Lamont, number 6. Because I don't see anybody else. I don't care for Boodle, Nazi Johnson. Right. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I don't even know how much he got to play. Johnson and Watson, I think I only saw out there a little bit in the fourth quarter.
I wonder if he stubs his toe.
Ends up on IR, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hide him for a year.
Pulls a bicep muscle, bringing Andy his bag of cheeseburgers or whatever.
It might just be the rookie with the ankle and foot issues.
We probably missed Denver Gator popping in.
Justin. Yes. I meant to say hello to Denver Gator.
Yeah, Denver, if you're still here, I'll be seeing you later tonight because I believe Big Chief Sean and I are going to be on the Dan show at 7 p.m. talking Chiefs football. So
nice.
Yeah, you guys can make sure you come see us over there at 7 p.m. Not Aaron because he'll be at work working hard. But
yeah, slave drivers.
Can we just leave this one up the rest of the live stream? Somebody's got to grasp for the straws because Cornell Powell can't get open to grasp for him.
But he made a good catch.
I'm kidding. Listen, I'm not gonna root against a player to make this team. I'm gonna root for the best 53. So whoever they think are the best 53. I mean, I guess the problem with me saying that is last year they thought that Neiman and Sorensen were part of the best 53. So,
right.
I got trust issues, guys.
Yeah, a little bit.
I want to say the company line that I trust I trust their decision making, but
For the most part.
Holly congratulated me there. I know who James Winchester is. Now, part of the reason I know who James Winchester is because when I played Madden, he's one of my first cuts. Because in Madden, you don't need a guy making $2 million who's a 40 overall, and all he is a long snapper. So you know,
He can't even play backup center somehow.
In Madden, you don't have to worry about muscle memory and all of that stuff affecting technique. Oh. No, kudos to James Winchester, because it's one of those jobs where nobody notices you unless you screw up, you know? It's one of those jobs. But at the same time, I mean, you get paid fairly well for, you know, what you have to do, so it's a cushy job. It's kind of right there with fullback and Andy Reid's offense. You get used sometimes, but, you know,
All right.
I mean, if you do your pay on a per snap basis, you know, you get paid pretty well.
Holly agrees with us. The long snapper should be the backup center.
Yep, there you go. But then she agreed with me here. But she used a big word here, Gooch. She said operational physics. I just said muscle memory. Holly, is that the same thing? Is that just a more sophisticated way of saying muscle memory?
Well, it's how far you snap the ball too.
I mean, here, if we're gonna say that, how about I say it even more classier? Proprioceptive operational physics.
Okay. Coleman got beat on a few plays, but again, this is preseason.
And then she says this. Yeah, she's comparing him to the standouts. If you don't compare him to the standouts, then he had a really good game.
I thought he was a standout. Definitely with the return game.
Yeah, the return game. Yeah, I do think I saw him catch a pass or two. Yeah.
How is everybody tonight? I'm pretty good.
Yeah, not doing too
got
bad.
Bad for a few minutes there. Daryl made it. Hey, Daryl.
So Holly, in Madden 23, Justin Reed has like, I want to say 65 or 70 kick power in the game. So at least the Madden ratings adjuster has been paying attention. He has like 70 kick power, I want to say.
I didn't know Thornhill was a backup holder. I never would have guessed him.
So Brian Cook, Devin Keys, Zane Anderson, and Deion Bush are all a bunch of half rates because they don't belong anywhere special on special teams.
I think Bushman does.
No, I mean like specialist stuff. Just making a joke, Aaron. It was a very Amber Heard materialistic joke.
Okay.
Sorry, there isn't any other one than the one I just slipped in there, Holly. Although we were talking about it for about 10 minutes in the other live stream that they took down. We had a very descriptive. Gooch was telling Aaron, because Aaron wasn't feeling well, right? You're not feeling well, eat and go take a dump. Basically, those are the two fixes for that. So.
And I already ate, so.
Oh, Daryl made it in.
You need to move your bowels. When's the last time you moved your bowels? You'll feel better.
Late. You
Was
guys
that a
are
good
some late
impression
owls.
of your mom? You gotta tell me. I haven't met her yet. You son of a bitch.
I'm telling you, he could have fallen. It's 4 a.m. there. Give him a break.
Uh, he'll see it. Hopefully,
What?
I'm not trying to say it behind his back. Did I sound like your mom at all? Was I anywhere close to with my impression?
He wasn't listening.
You gotta move your bowels.
You still got to poop?
I haven't since you told me to.
Have some prune juice, sweetie.
We've been on here.
K-Row syrup.
Yes, I love Watson. Oh, wait, which
Some
Watson?
Robitussin. You take some Robitussin and you take some prune juice and you mix them together and you make a smoothie.
Jalen Watson's my guy, Daryl, if that's who you're talking about. I didn't notice him in the... Which is possibly a good thing. I didn't notice him. Joshua Williams.
Yeah, you talking about Jalen or Justin?
That's my question. Which he had one good catch, I think, was all. Yeah, 9 yards.
That's I mean that's interesting, Holly, because Rich, man, I have no idea how you say his name.
Sorry.
You know, I kind of thought he got a raw deal, with the the Raiders moving on from him, but you know, I'm sure they'll get things righted there a little bit. I mean, the thing about preseason is you never know exactly what why a coach is making the decisions they're doing. We talked about it, I think, at the beginning of this live stream, probably definitely at the other one. But we were talking about Pacheco taking out all the runs, and he took out, talk about poop joke, but taking it out from the 9 yards in the end zone again. But from what I had heard on Twitter, Dave Tobe was telling them to take everything out so that he could get great looks at all the other special teamers, the guys who are supposed to be blocking and stuff. And so, we just never know what coaches are asking of the players because of what they need to get a look at. So, I'll just throw that in there because, we don't really know. I don't know.
That makes more sense now, but Pacheco looked like he was hesitating, and he was not looking as speedy as he is.
Maybe that's because, your brain is telling you this is 9 yards deep, don't take it out. But, maybe he was also, maybe he was seeing some of the blocking breaking down and was like, I don't want to take this out. But,
that's how I'd be.
Right?
The Packers special teams, yeah, they were not doing well.
Yeah.
But we were noticing the run defense was not there either. I don't know if they just weren't expecting us to run, because that's not typically what we do.
Right.
But we were gashing them constantly. 3 guys with an average of 5 yards or better. That's kind of crazy.
Well, and what was Bouchel's average? I didn't even look at the stats.
I think he was 3 for 4 yards or something like that. Yeah, 3 for 4 yards. Chad Henne had 1 run for 2 yards. So yeah, they didn't look so great on the ground. Neiman and Swanson would be great college professors, but no thanks on our NFL team. Agreed. Indeed. Yes, Steve, I think operational physics equals muscle memory. I think it's partially the snapping. They're used to snapping it so far.
Yeah, I mean,
but you would think you can do it. You can get used to both. If that's all you're doing.
I don't know. I think it's so way different though. It's like
they're not really allowed to get hit, though. They don't have anybody lining up over them.
You know, it's like shooting a basketball, right? It's not the same thing. You know, if you start trying to shoot a bunch of 3-pointers, it's going to affect your mid range. You know, because you shoot the ball differently, and so you should be practiced.
Jordan.
You know, where you're going to shoot it in game. But Jordan wasn't a great 3-point shooter. You know, he eventually worked on it and he got decent, but you know, I mean, and Shaq couldn't hit a free throw to save his life. But you know, even though, I mean, as tall as he was, you know, as long as his arms were, you know, he should have been much closer, you know, to the rim. But yeah, I mean, it's just different, and so you don't want to affect the muscle memory, you know, of doing it.
Sorry, guys, we're having some problems with gnats for some reason.
Man, hey, I had a fly earlier today, like well before the live stream, and it had me slapping myself in the face. Like, it was a super aggressive fly, and it just kept like landing on my face, and I'm like swatting at it, and you know, it just kept going in for my face, and I slapped myself about 8 times trying to hit it.
Liz ordered some stuff to attract them and kill them, but they're still flying around me. I don't get it. And we had some spray, and I kind of went nuts, and she wasn't too happy about it. So that's why she grabbed a bunch of these things off Amazon. Because she is, yeah, we're always getting something from Amazon.
Proprioceptive operational physics was probably a bad term, Holly. Proprioception, you know, has to do with your nervous system coordinating with your muscles, you know. So there is some, you know, kind of muscle memory stuff there, but it, you know, it has to do with muscle fibers and nerves firing, you know, to help you keep your balance and move your muscles properly and stuff. And so maybe it's technically not right. Maybe it kind of fits, but yeah.
Gooch is definitely asleep after that part of the show.
That's the whole point. No. Okay.
I gotta get a drink. I'm sorry.
Holly says, so yeah, making some sense why Butker can hit the long field goals but not the shorter ones. That is a theory that I postulated, that it had something to do with it, because the kick mechanics are different, right? You know what? I guess another correlation could be like, I don't know if anybody out there is baseball fans, but you know, a lot of times, like in the All-Star Home Run Derby, you'll see a guy who hits like 20, 25 home runs in the All-Star Derby, in the Home Run Derby during the All-Star break, and then it messes with their swing because, you know, it throws their mechanics out of line, because you shouldn't be swinging every time for a home run. And I think it's probably something kind of like that. You know, there's a difference there of your cadence when you're going to kick a field goal, and you got to kick the ball. You know, I'm not a special teams major here at all, but you have to kick the ball differently on a long field goal, right? You can't get as much air under it on a long field goal. It's got to be more like a line drive, and so, you know, that changes things as well. We're definitely putting Gooch to sleep here. Oh, Maui's with us. Maui, how's it, cuz? My mom tells me I'm special every day. She doesn't tell you to poop to get rid of your nausea. Listen, when I read that, the I'm special every day, I think of two things, and one takes me to the other one. I think of the Rob Gronkowski USAA commercial where he says that he's special, which takes me back to Little Nicky. right? That Adam Sandler, just kind of that, release the good, that he does. That because that's what to me that's what Gronkowski sounds like. Little Nicky, they're talking when he says I'm special, and so when you say I'm special every day, that reminds me of those two things. I'm not giving you real impersonations. I'm not Thunder Dan. I'm not going there.
Oh, he's got some great impressions. And we're going to end up moving the picks pool over here. Danilo is good with doing that. So he's in. He also wants to do the
yes.
fantasy
the Gooch
football.
Invitational.
Nobody calls it that.
Now, by nobody, do you mean like quantifiably nobody, or are you talking about as far as like quality? Are you saying that Gooch is a nobody?
Only Gooch is saying it.
Only the person that you consider to be a nobody is saying it?
No, he's still my brother.
That's usual. That's usual coming from Aaron.
He's just my delusional brother.
I mean, it would be fair since he called us idiots. We're all even now. Gooch called us idiots. I called him a moron. You call him nobody.
No, I did not. He's just my delusional brother.
You called my wife a dog.
I did not.
In our group text you did. Didn't he, Gooch? Is your dog's name not Lady?
I
you
use
didn't
that
call your
term
wife
very
a dog.
loosely. I used to call Sasha Lady all the time. What's up, Lady? It's my general term for women that it's appropriate for.
Well, I mean, is it appropriate though? It depends on how you say it, because I could hear Gooch saying it and be like, "What's up, Lady?"
I'm not trying to hit on her. I'm not Gooch. That was a low blow. I'm sorry, brother. I say it like, "Hey, lady, good to see you." Or, "What's up, lady?" I do it at work constantly.
Yeah, well, we'll see what Liz thinks, because we know she watches all these, so
Yeah, you can ask her.
She'll have something to say.
She used to think I was flirting when I used it. Hopefully, she doesn't anymore.
Hopefully.
Who knows?
You send us a group text every hour tomorrow, just so we know you're okay.
Call you lady?
No, just to let us know that Liz hasn't ended your life.
Sorry.
The same way that YouTube ended our first live stream. How am I doing for pettiness, Gooch, on constantly bringing up this?
It's pretty petty. It's way up there.
Bringing up what? Sorry, I missed something.
YouTube ending our first attempt at the live stream.
It's ridiculous.
And then emailing us to tell us, like, we're in the middle of a live stream. We're not checking our email.
We warned you multiple times. What?
They sent us one email.
We never saw anything.
We didn't even see it. Anyway.
Because we're not going to check our email.
Yeah, we're doing a live stream. Duh.
So they cut it off like 10 minutes in?
No. We got the email warning us at 12:20, and at 12:30 we got the email telling us that they cut it out. So we got 20 minutes
at midnight.
Yeah, we got 20 minutes in. So
we had a lot of good stuff there too.
Holly, we assume that it was that I was showing Aaron the condensed version of the game because he had to work, so he didn't get to see it. And so the first 35 minutes were of watching the condensed version. But I mean, we don't have a whole lot of information because the way they worded it is, what was it? Let me pull it up here.
I've seen dozens of people react to other people's videos. I don't understand why we keep getting hit.
They said that their team reviewed our content, and we think it violates our spam, deceptive practices, and scams policy. That was
We're not monetized, so how are we scamming anybody?
We weren't showing anything from anyone else, but yeah,
Deceptive practices.
the only thing it could be is the fact that, you know, and we were talking the whole time, so, but whatever.
Over them.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hoping that orange juice makes my stomach feel better.
Man, that would make mine feel worse.
I love orange juice.
I like orange juice. It just, yeah, it can do some stuff.
I have some V8 every day also.
Now, unless it's the cheap stuff, the cheap, like, store brand orange juice is nasty. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good stuff. Is
That's
that the
my favorite.
Is that the no pulp?
Yes, of course.
Of course, I like
Fuck
pulp.
pulp. I can't stand it.
I like pulp in there. That's good for you. It'll give you that fiber. It'll help give you the runs so you can you can sit on the gooch throne.
I can't do the texture. Can't do wilted lettuce.
I can't do wilted lettuce either, but pulp and orange juice doesn't bite me or bother me. You get the same thing when you eat an orange.
Non-ripe tomatoes drives me nuts. I'm like, I want a good tomato. But
I
you
can't even
get them at fast food, it seems.
It's hard to get a good tomato anywhere. Like, even the farm ones, I think that they've, like, genetically modified tomatoes to taste like crap.
We
Like,
got some really good ones.
Man, those things are like gold. There's nothing better than well, there are, but, speaking hyperbolically, a nice, ripe, juicy tomato that doesn't taste like cardboard, like a lot of them do now. Even some of the ones from farms.
Well,
but yeah.
These people, they sit on 7 Highway in the parking lot. And we went and bought, I want to say half a dozen, maybe 8, somewhere in there. And they were good, and I was trying to save some for Liz, and they ended up going bad. I was so mad because I was like, I will eat them all.
Yeah.
Try to save some for her, and she lets them go bad. I like to cut them up, throw some cottage cheese on there and pepper.
That's what my grandparents used to do. I told my kids that the other day. They just ate regular plain slices yesterday, I think it was, and I told them, I said, your great grandparents, they used to eat it with cottage cheese. They used to eat it with just salt, pepper. Like, yeah.
It's great.
I'll eat it with nothing.
It's one of my
if
favorite.
It's a good tomato.
Oh yeah, we'll eat cherry tomatoes like crazy. Liz's old dog, Abby, she would eat them all off the freaking plant. I love that dog.
Yeah, we should Daryl. We should grow our own. You about have to if you want a good one.
Well, Liz started to, and I was like, you're taking care of it. I'm not doing anything with it if you do this. And then she tore her Achilles.
Yeah.
So guess who took care of it? But I collected on my accidental insurance that I had on her a few times. She is very accident prone. She got that from her father. I'm
sorry for laughing, Liz. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I just think of I make the joke that I don't carry, we don't carry that insurance on ourselves, on each other for reasons. Like if you watch any true crime shows, like how many spouses get murdered by their partner because they have life insurance, right? So we're not giving each other any incentive to have the other one taken out.
That is a good point, Holly. I don't know. I see
don't.
people eat wilted lettuce, and I just can't do it.
I can do cabbage because it's a
Yeah.
little bit different, but lettuce.
Well,
I don't even
it's still
like.
crispy after
Right.
you have it in water. Like we do some sausage and cabbage. Pretty
Right.
good. We found this great recipe. I'll have to send it to you. We've made it a few times. It's really good. We like the spicy though.
Yeah, that's one reason I don't like
And yes.
cooked spinach. I'll eat it sometimes at omelet, but cooked spinach or canned spinach, I can't do because of that.
No.
I can do fresh spinach, but
Yes.
we're probably very
Heirlooms.
similar on this, Aaron.
Heirlooms are great.
Let me test this out. There's like a day and a half period where a banana is edible for me. Like that's about it. That's like the lifespan of a banana. It's either too raw or too ripe after that. I can't.
Well, that's when you make banana bread.
Right, that's when you make banana bread or banana pudding and it becomes something else that's edible, but like to just eat a banana as it is, there's like a day and a half period.
I don't know about banana pudding. I'd say we're getting into the life portion. Is what I'm going to call this.
We've been live long enough now that some of us are getting hungry again. Holly is continuing to throw out the big words at 3:30 in the morning. Robust texture.
To be fair.
Yeah, but kale probably does too, and I don't like kale.
I had some fried green tomatoes, and it was okay.
Are we
My
talking?
mom made them for me.
I was gonna say, are we talking about the fruit/vegetable, or are we talking about the movie?
I'm talking about the fruit/vegetable that made it so popular that I don't know. I want to say I was between 18 and 21, and I'm like, you got to make me them because I'm sick of hearing the phrase and not knowing. They were okay. Not something I'll go out of my way to do. So maybe I need Daryl to make them for me.
I'm kind of curious if Gooch is asleep here. I want to give you a warning in case you're doing something we shouldn't hear, Gooch. But if you're not awake, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to prove you're awake. Otherwise, I'm going to click the unmute button here just to see if we can hear you snoring.
I like it. So Daryl, when we
This
go
is the reason
fishing,
we're friends.
whenever we decide to go fishing and I don't work any of the weekend, you'll have to bring fried green tomatoes for me.
All right. Do we all feel that I've given Gooch long enough to respond here?
Made himself pass out on the lounger.
On the Gooch throne.
Yeah.
On the Amber Heard seat.
No, that'd be in bed.
Oh, I can't unmute him. I thought I had the power to.
The Amber Heard would be in bed, though. Which wouldn't be good. Quite weird.
I'm sorry, Holly, I tried. I thought I had the power, but I do not have the power. By the power of Grayskull, unmute.
Can't unmute your guests because they chose to mute
I tried.
themselves.
Oh, man.
where are we gonna go fishing? Are we gonna go fishing out here at like Longview, Blue Springs Lake, Jacomo, Prairie Lee, or am I coming up to Smithville? So I got like 5 places within 15 minutes of me.
Make sure you're not giving away your good spots. Isn't that something fishermen are not supposed to do? Women don't tell their age. Men don't tell their fishing spots.
Daryl's okay.
Well, I mean publicly though.
Well, no. Daryl, when we meet up, throw my bass boat in, or Daryl's.
We call it the
the
gooch throne, Daryl.
That is what we're referring to. Yes.
Yeah, the gooch throne.
All good spots.
He might be setting on it and exercising or expelling some of his pettiness.
I want to fish Jacomo, but my motor's too big. I'd have to take the prop off and use the trolling motor the whole time.
Sounded like the beginning of a country song.
It is disappointing. The time I rented a boat, we caught some white bass, some largemouth, and then I ended up dropping my dad and my brother off, and I went back and I ended up catching a nice walleye. It was very tasty. Very tasty. We were doing some trolling and I handed my brother my pole and then it got hit. He thought I got hit and then I handed it to him to like, oh, I've caught fish, here you go. I feel sorry for you. But no, it was all him. He's the brother I like. My other brother's getting married soon. Got about 2 months. We're all going to Vegas.
Gonna recreate the hangover?
I was planning, well, maybe. We'll see how things go. We're supposed to go golfing to start, so
I think
turn to drinking. And
if you get the Mike Tyson tattoo, I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that would
hard?
Really, yeah. I think. What do you guys think? I think Aaron would. I think he would go up about 10 points in the respectability thing there if he got the Mike Tyson tattoos.
Could I pull it off?
I think you could, Aaron. Well, now, Holly, it's the brother. You said it's the brother you don't like, right? So are we congratulating him?
I love my brothers.
I hope you don't call him that. There's the brother I like. There's the brother I like to their face.
I'll show you off screen. We give him crap quite a bit. He's my baby brother.
I was gonna say he must be the youngest. I don't know how many times we told my younger sister that she was adopted.
You were an accident. Then my mom's like, you were all accidents.
Setting the record straight.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure my
She
sister
didn't pull punches.
I'm sure my sister was, because we were like 11 months apart. So
My mom was the only girl out of 6, and then she had 4 boys. My mom doesn't pull punches. Small as she is, she'll fight you. She'll wrestle you.
So I think I saw that Alabama gave Nick Saban a new 10-year contract that makes him the highest paid each season now. And Nick Saban's like, what, 70, 76, 77, 78? Maybe he's younger than I think he is.
Hey, Alan, good to see you. Thanks for coming over.
Good day, Alan. Friday evening. Oh, man, you're making me tired already.
I gotta work Friday evening, and then Saturday evening, and then I am possibly moving to third shift. There's talk of it being taken away, even though we're working Saturdays. It doesn't really make sense to take away a shift.
Right.
We're
My
already working
apologies.
this
Nick
much.
Saban's only 70, so
He
he looks like he's older. Sorry.
I don't care for him.
Nick Saban?
I hope he feels older. Yeah.
Well, you can't
Frickin'
punch him.
Saban.
He's 70 years old, and I didn't even know this. He's only 5'6". He's shorter than I am.
Well, Pete Carroll's pretty old. I would love to punch him in the mouth. He's just got that punchable face.
Oh, man.
He's always got a look on his face that you just want to hit.
Pete Carroll is 70 as well. What is his height?
I thought he was older than that, honestly.
And I thought he was older than that. I still would have hit him. I'll definitely hit him now because he's only 70.
Him and the hoodie are like right there together.
That's interesting.
And then the San Francisco coach,
Why can't I find his height?
I think he's third.
Kyle Shanahan. How about the whole Shanahan family?
Pretty much, yeah. That's what
I've never even met his mom, but would you hit her too? Because she married Mike.
No.
She married Mike, and she had Kyle.
She's been through enough. She punished herself, man.
Why is it that I can get Nick Saban's height, but I can't get Pete Carroll's height?
It's his face, Holly. And the looks that he gives.
Pete Carroll's 5'11". Yeah, you can
See?
definitely hit him.
Okay.
Nick Saban's shorter than I am, and he's 70.
He's an inch taller than me. I'll do it. Over and over.
Alan's got a point right there.
I wouldn't be able to stop once I got started, though. I might kill him. It might only take 2 punches being 70. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
He looks younger than he is, I think. He looks fit. Might be a fair fight. With my joints, I feel 70. But I'm supposed to get better with age. That's what the doctors say. And then my old boss called me Benjamin Buttons. You see that movie?
Yep.
A little strange.
Do you?
These freaking gnats, man.
I heard that
Going
one. That
crazy.
one was loud.
What?
Do you take like collagen or anything to help?
I've tried it. It did not help me.
No.
I took it for months.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not spending the money on this.
But yeah, Alan brings up how much college football coaches get paid a lot more. I would say part of the
Really?
reason. Oh yeah.
After the 100 million man?
What is well, yeah, I mean, John Gruden kind of challenged that, right? I think because I think Nick Saban's deal pays him 10.5, 11 million a year to make him the highest over Kirby Smart, I want to say. But yeah, John Gruden definitely tested that. But I mean, the Raiders are the Raiders. Yeah, let me pull it up here.
That they are.
11.7 million per season for Nick Saban now. Let me see.
He's not worth it.
Well, the thing. I mean, there's a big difference, though, right? In the NFL, you're drafting players and you're bringing free agents in, but in college, it's all about the recruiting. It's all about the recruiting. So you have to have someone who, one, can recruit, and two, players want to come play for.
He doesn't have to. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but I mean that's because players want to go play for him, and as much as I hate to say it, what is the Gooch? If you're actually awake, you can jump in on this, but number one team is Alabama in the amount of All Americans since like 2012, I want to say, and number two through five is only separated by one.
It's
by
the
one
school.
player, but there's a huge difference between Alabama and the rest of them. So
he doesn't have to recruit. It's the school. They
you take
win
the school
so many
and
national championships that they do not have to recruit, and everybody automatically wants to go there.
I think to an extent that's true, but at the same time, LSU kind of proved that's not true, because LSU was kind of operating under that same philosophy, and they found out it's not necessarily that way. But I think it's those two things, recruiting and it's Nick Saban, and if you want to throw Alabama in there, sure, but it's recruiting and Nick Saban, and the boosters are the one who are paying that salary for each of these schools, and you compare that to the NFL where you have cheap NFL owners who are, have a $200 million salary cap that they're paying players. And, what happens to player salaries in the NFL if you're paying coaches $10 or $15 million a year to coach? And so, I think there's understandable reasons for why it's different.
Saban isn't shit. Let me unmute him, damn it.
Man, I think he's definitely asleep for sure. Or
yeah, I've talked enough shit on his coach.
It's almost 5 a.m. there. Yeah, I don't even know if I can pull up.
He likes to go to sleep to us talking.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were that boring.
Let's see.
But it happens a lot.
Pull it up here. Try to pull up what Andy's contract is. The last one I could find was like 5 years at $35 million, but I don't know what the new one. I don't think they've announced the new one. Right? They were waiting for Beach to get his extension or something before they announced Andy's. I think that's what it was. Why is there a 2-week wait for the regular season? Makes no sense. Well, I mean, I think by the time you add in, roster cuts are next Tuesday. 27 players from each team by next Tuesday. And I did the math earlier, right? Something like 832 players from other teams are going to get cut. So you give yourself a week and a half or so. A week and a half.
Most of them won't land anywhere.
Yeah, a few will though, and so you give yourself, if you have that happen, and
Gooch
definitely
thinks we're going to get 2 or 3 linemen that way.
Definitely a few will, right? Because every team's going to have a player that they got to put on IR, and they got to keep him on the 53-man, to Tuesday afternoon, and then put him on IR. So they're going to have to cut players to put them on. To put them on the active roster to then put them on IR. And then once they put them on IR, they're out for at least 4 weeks, so they're going to replace them with somebody. So there's going to be a good, handful of those types of moves going on there. But at the same time, I think it also gives you a buffer because you have this last preseason game, and if you have injuries as a result of that, having a week and a half or two or so before you're playing your first game of the season gives you some time to come up with some alternative plans should a player get injured, especially a starter.
And they did away with the fourth game to basically make a bye with adding the extra 17th game.
Yeah, Holly basically said the same thing I said. Yeah, Daryl, I think I don't know if it's in New York, but I think he definitely said he was on the East Coast. So,
There's a good chance with how many stores they have out in
yeah.
New York that he is probably there, and they were having quite a bit of trouble out there. He also goes to Montana, uh, North
Yeah, I think
Dakota.
Montana, Wyoming, maybe North Dakota.
Is it Wyoming? Is what I'm thinking of. I think
He was in Maine. I think he was in somewhere in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it was Philly. I
he's
think
all
he's
over
been
the
in
place.
Baltimore. I don't remember all the places.
There's a lot of stores he goes and tries to fix for these
Right.
owners. And
Yeah, he gets around. He's like Kay Adams during the season, when she's pandering to every fan base. I don't know why I felt petty enough to throw in a dig at Kay Adams, but
I like her. She apparently went to Mizzou.
she did. But I mean, she just kind of rubs me like she pretends like every fan base is her favorite and every team is her favorite, which is just kind of annoying. Like I understand, you're a professional, so act impartial then. But she doesn't. It's like every week a new team is her favorite, and so it's just like I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. It's almost 4 a.m. Otherwise, I just keep it to myself.
Part of that is them making her, from what I'm told. She
I
was
could see that.
supposed to go to the opposite since Peter. I don't remember his last
Schrager.
name. Yeah. Since he was on the Mahomes train.
I don't
had
even
to
mean that though. I'm
be
talking about like
opposite.
on Twitter.
Oh,
Like she
I
was
don't
always
know.
posting pictures of herself, and like
Oh,
with Bill's Mafia, and then it was in the jungle with Bengals fans, and it's like each team became her new favorite.
so she's a little flaky.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of my thing. Part of my feeling. It wasn't. I'm not even talking about on the show. I'm talking about like on Twitter and everything else. Like every team became her new favorite.
I don't follow her. I don't know. I am probably on Twitter more than anything, but I'm hardly on that.
Yeah,
I have 19 notifications right now.
it's quicker for me to get all my news on Twitter. I guess all my sports news stuff.
The only
So.
reason I know that I have those notifications is sharing the show. So, do you know anything? Do you know the latest on injuries from today?
I haven't heard
No.
anything more about McDuffie. The last thing I heard was that he entered concussion protocol, and I haven't heard anything since. I didn't watch. I didn't catch the post game presser though, either. So.
Alan Dijon.
Um,
Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right.
yeah, Bushman. What I saw was fractured collarbone. Um, I don't know who else was injured. Those are the two that I remember.
Hey. Holly was one of those. The Roguette. The Roguette jersey.
So Daryl says she's not even a football fan. She just reads what's written.
I think she comes up with it, but she's kind of forced to take some stances on things.
Yeah.
She's got to be the opposite of somebody.
Right.
I think is how that works on, what is it, NFL Network or ESPN? I don't know.
Yeah,
Some big,
I think it's NFL Network, but
some big corporation.
I mean that's the basis for a lot of those shows. But occasionally though, you'll
That's
end
what
up
I'm saying, Holly.
with you know, I guess it depends on how much you feel they're all scripted, but even like with the Tyreek Hill stuff, even in that first episode, Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless were in agreement. So sometimes there actually is
Ugh.
agreement. Yeah, yeah. Good
Talk
Morning
about
Football is
another
a show.
talk about another punchable face. Skip Bayless. Him and Carol kind of look similar.
I didn't realize that Skip Bayless and Jay Bayless, is it Jay Bayless or were brothers? Is it Jay Bayless? I think it's Jay Bayless. But yeah. What about Kyle Brand? Do you think he has a punchable face?
I can't think of who that is.
That's the other. That's the other guy on Good Morning Football. The one that usually is arguing with Schrager. He's a Bills fan.
Is that
He's the
not
one that announced their draft pick.
not the California guy?
I don't know if he is or not. I looked.
What was his name again?
Kyle Brand.
Yeah, I think that is. Yeah, he's got a very punchable face. I don't care for his attitude either, and he.
Oh, you're right, Holly. I probably shouldn't have mentioned the name because now we'll be getting a copyright strike.
Yeah, you're not showing off the Rogette jersey. Why is it not included? It went quiet again, freaking me out.
I got a kid that
Let's
woke
go to the
up.
board. Yeah, I understand, man. Yeah. Is that about Bushman? Oh, his collarbone, clavicle getting fractured. I wore the Tommy Townsend jersey. Nice. I am not sure what that term is. GMF.
Good Morning Football. That's the
Oh,
show.
okay. Yeah. Between the cue to punch skip. Oh, yes. That I want to leave up the rest of the time.
I think that line starts with Shannon. I don't know how much of that is really acting.
Does he make a bunch of money? Yeah, he shouldn't. Because all he does is try to get people's goat.
Right.
I refuse to watch the fucker. I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, there's seriously some of those guys that's like, you could pay me way less and I can give you the same hot takes.
Right? I just want to give him an uppercut. I was watching UFC last night. That's pretty much how I spent. So I wanted to fight. Not with those guys, but with these coaches and these old people, basically. I'm not above hitting an old man. I might be, but they don't need to know that.
Will you push him down?
That's where I draw the line.
Will you give him a wedgie in his adult diaper?
Just a smooth hook or uppercut in Skip Bayless's case.
You know, what about
I'm
this?
I'm going to try and knock him out.
What about this? This is an old move from when I was younger. I certainly wouldn't do it now.
The double punch?
But no, you take a water bottle, you unscrew the lid, and you go up to them and you just right in the crotch, make it look like they peed their pants. I've done that a time or two to girls.
A little petty.
I mean, some of us have different, understandings of humor and how to flirt or whatever. You can do the same thing during winter with a snowball. A loosely packed one, not a hard one that's meant to hurt.
What's the point then?
It's not meant to hurt. You throw it at their crotch and it makes it look like they peed their pants. So then they get embarrassed because everyone's going to think that. You don't try to physically injure them. You try to emotionally and mentally scar them.
Where's our PSA, Gooch?
We here at BAK do not condone mentally or emotionally scarring people. Or hurting old men.
Unless it's... One of the people I mentioned, he's my age. But
It's
we also
almost 4
talked
and
about
I might have to go here soon.
beating their whole family. I'm trying to get myself used to staying up till 7.
Yeah. I
Since
can't
I'm
do
going to
that.
overnights next week. I don't know. I'm gonna have to
Something's gonna
talk to
happen.
HR. I'm supposed to go in for orientation, even though I've been there for months.
Night
At
crew
10
does it
a.m.
differently.
10 a.m. on Monday, and then I basically have the day off after that and come in Tuesday night at 11.
Hey, Alan, we kind of talked about this earlier. And so, Gooch's thought was, Bell's going to stay on the roster because he has to until, after the official 53, and then he'll get put on IR. And his belief was that we would just keep 3 tight ends until Bell comes back. I thought that there was a decent chance until Bushman got injured that maybe he could be a 4th tight end. And so we kind of talked about what would happen, because we thought Bell was definitely going to be the 4th tight end and that they would have 4. And so I think we just kind of, we're kind of all at the point where we think 3. So.
She's pretty upset.
No, that's my youngest boy.
That is fucking ridiculous, Holly. Not mad at you.
That's crazy. Yeah, how dare you say that, Holly? That is crazy. $33 million a year. That is crazy. Yeah, they could pay me like $100,000 a year to give the same ridiculous takes.
I'd be good with that. Yeah.
I can pretend to be senile enough to think that the Cowboys are good. I can. What are the other takes on there that he's very popular for?
Take care of the wife and the 8 children.
So I could do that for a fraction of that contract. I can give the same ridiculous takes.
Absolutely.
if I can stir up Gooch, I can definitely stir up Shannon Sharp.
And we are a family. We are brothers. We will have our arguments. We're passionate about our opinions and what we believe, but at the end of the day, we're family. It's like it never happened.
All right. Well, I think some of it is
I love these guys. Holly's really part of the family. We got to give her shit.
There's a level of respect for everyone's willingness to learn and have our minds changed. And so when we believe in our arguments and sometimes our perspectives are so different we're not changing our minds. Like I said, like, you're not going to give me an argument at this point that convinces me that we should keep Chad Henne over Shane Buechele, because you're talking about Henne's going to be gone next year anyway. You got Matt Nagy back. Teams are playing us differently now, and so I have all my reasons, and I believe those reasons are correct. I'm not saying that Chad Henne is not going to make the roster. I'm not saying Gooch is wrong in what's going to happen, but we're coming, our perspectives on this and what we're weighing as what's more important, from our own fan perspectives, are just completely different right now. Like I said, I see this as if Sorensen was still on the team and we were having a Sorensen versus Brian Cook, discussion. So,
like we were having with Thornhill last season,
right? Or even Neiman and whoever, Neiman and Chanel.
But I respect Danilo, and I don't understand his thoughts on Sorensen, but I love the guy. I mean, we're all going to have our opinions and who we're fans of.
Right.
Like I like Jalen Watson a lot. Doesn't mean he's even going to make the team.
Right.
Necessarily, I think he does, but
yeah. I mean, we have our guys.
I disagree with these guys on Derek Carr. We've argued about that. It's me against those two, and they're wrong. And
oh, Gooch is never wrong.
I may not be right, but I am not wrong. I may not always be right, but I'm not wrong.
I went to college with a guy who said that he was never wrong. He said, "I thought I was wrong once, but I was just mistaken."
I believe it was about 1985, when I was 3. That was the time I was possibly wrong, but ended up being right. Let's get into the detail. I believe it was warm out around May.
Well, unlike the other guys, I'm constantly wrong, and so.
Well, the Derek Carr thing, I have actually changed my opinion on him, because I used to think he was pretty damn good quarterback, and think he's kind of gone downhill.
I mean, we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I've said anything positive about him, I've still thrown out there that still, once you start to get pressure on him, he becomes like a deer in headlights. But it all is really interesting, and
yeah, we're not really delusional about it or anything.
I don't know if you caught it. I was trying to figure out if this was a true story or not. The whole story about Rob Gronkowski and Dana White and those guys talking about how Brady and Gronkowski were going to go to the Raiders in free agency, when they left the Patriots instead of the Buccaneers. And then at the last moment, Gruden changed his mind or whatever and nixed it happening. And so at this point, I think it's true. It's hard to know with Gronkowski. And but
is he the one that came out with it?
Well, it was like on a UFC event. So Dana White, who's like the president of UFC, like he was the one who apparently orchestrated it, and they both said, yeah, that's what happened. Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, was asked about it, and at no point did he say no. he kind of sidestepped it. Instead of saying a no, he kind of did the politician thing and said something. He gave a few comments from what I saw, and one of them was like something like, "Yeah, yeah, I don't remember. We were too busy beating the Dolphins, blah blah blah, or whatever it was." At no point though did he say no. That's not correct. He said you'd have to ask so and so, and then he said, yeah, we were too busy doing this. At no point did he just flat out deny it, which makes me think that it really happened. Which would have been interesting, if it happened. If I don't know what they would have done with Carr. I guess traded him. So, but I mean, the division would have definitely been interesting if Brady and Gronkowski had been in it the last couple of years.
I think he didn't want to because of Mahomes, though.
Well,
I would think Brady.
There's been some speculative connection that that's who Brady was referring to. Like, I guess on his podcast, whatever it was. And so it sounded like Brady wanted to. Like, they wanted to. Because they were free agents, so it's, it wasn't a trade. It wasn't going to be a trade thing. Gruden didn't nix a trade. He nixed, them coming as free agents. So, I mean, that presumptively, Tom Brady wanted to come join the Raiders and join and have to play against Mahomes.
That would figure of all teams.
Probably in his mind, if he beat Mahomes twice a season, he could keep us out of the playoffs and solidify his GOAT status or whatever. But
we go back and forth, though. I think he's back to one up on Mahomes, and of course that one was a big one.
So
we
Alan
always play him at home. He's always at home.
Right.
Ugh, I hate that guy.
I think he's in for, man, I don't know who they're going to pick up, but they've lost their center in Jensen, and they lost their backup center and Stinney, I think, who is their guard or was vying for starting guard spot. And I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that's going to be really tough on Brady because, man, if you're the quickest way to get to him is right up the middle. And as soon as he sees the pressure coming now anymore, like he just drops down. He doesn't take the sack standing up. He basically just drops down to the fetal position to, which, I mean, at his age, I can't blame him. But, if they have to bring in some other guy out there to be the center, and I guess that's an interesting, discussion itself because as far as I understand, J.C. Trotter, who was a pretty good center for the Browns, is still a free agent, right? And there's
really
some noise out there that no team has signed him because he's like the NFL Players Association president or something. So like the owners are kind of blackballing him because of that. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but I probably read too much.
What do you think about a Buechele trade?
I mean,
what his value is.
And this is another reason why I disagree with Gooch.
If we entertain it.
Because I don't think there is trade value. Like, if you think about it from, both perspectives.
You don't think we could get a fourth or fifth?
You're trading for a backup. Like, there's no team that, they wouldn't be trading for him to be a starter.
That's a good point.
And what team needs a backup that, that shouldn't at least already have one who's Shane Buechele's quality or better?
Are you saying sixth or seventh?
I don't think there is any trade value. for that reason. I mean,
people go into the draft to get backups.
yeah, but they should already have him on their team right now. Is my thing. And if he's good enough to be the backup on another team, he's certainly good enough to beat out Henney for a backup spot.
But if your backup gets hurt,
but your backup would have to be hurt now. We're talking about before the the 27 cuts is the thing. If we were talking, if we were talking about like last year when teams were losing their quarterbacks and we brought them up to protect them, that would be one thing. If he was on the 53, or if he was somehow on the practice squad now, and we were bringing him up to trade him, so we didn't lose him for nothing on the practice squad, it would be different. But we're talking about we either waive him and sneak him on the practice squad, or we keep him on the 53 now. I don't think there's trade value for him because teams know that. You have limited options on what you do. If you're trying to trade him, they know that you're not planning on putting him on the 53. So who's going to trade for him before you put him on the 53 and force their hand? And who even needs a backup quarterback like that? It is Friday, August 26th, and if you don't know who your backup quarterback is, and your options out there place Shane Buechele as your best options, you got a lot more problems than that.
New Orleans loves taking our sloppy seconds.
I mean, Sean Payton isn't there anymore, so I mean,
other than Matthew.
But I would think certainly for other teams, they would probably value it differently. So, I mean, every team's quarterback situation is differently. I think if we're at the point where, we're saying this is definitely Henney's last year, that says something. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there is. So, but again, I could be wrong, and that they could make a trade, but I don't see why a team would trade.
I will go with a 6th rounder. For a team that has somebody hurt soon. Basically the next couple weeks. Okay, talking about the Chargers, all the talking heads. What?
You're talking about the next 3 days though, so I mean it would have to be, I don't know how many more games are left to be played.
Man, I really need to set up the fantasy football.
It would have to be before Tuesday afternoon because that's cut day. So, who's getting injured? That I don't know.
Holly, are you doing fantasy football again? Or did she not last year? Might have been Susan. I don't remember.
I don't remember any.
Did you want to talk about Daryl? Daryl was asking about the ridiculousness of not San Diego. What are they? LA Chargers.
Yeah, LA. Allen, we can do that. I'll just say Allen. It's different though because they had injuries last year. Kyler Murray's healthy. I don't know who their backup was, but I mean, could they want him more? I mean, they have Darrell Williams there now, but I mean, I don't know right now you have any pressure to trade for a guy. If you trade for him, you're definitely putting him on your 53, which means you're making 28 cuts instead of 27 cuts. So plus you would be making the trade before you even seen who other teams cut, and they might trade or they might cut a quarterback that you like even better. So that they like even better.
You can't guarantee you're going to get them, so you try to trade. No. But yeah, it's ridiculous. They do this every year, that all the talking heads pick the Chargers to win the West. I didn't know anything about the Super Bowl, but yeah, they gotta be able to make it through us first, without the refs and us turning the ball over.
I mean, they got to stay healthy is the big thing, but I mean,
Their quarterback always seems to stay healthy, but he's a good young quarterback.
yeah.
I don't love him, but I don't hate him. He is a damn good young quarterback. Not on Mahomes' level, but not horribly behind.
But I mean, the talking heads always pick the Charger. They pick the Chargers forever to win the AFC West. Like that's a yearly thing.
It's every year.
So, yeah, I think people have
A lot of them are from California, and they want them to win.
Right. I think people just look at things like Tyreek being gone and Tyron being gone, and those were some of our better, two of our better players there.
And Frank Clark staying.
So they see the team as getting weaker, and they see the Chargers as getting stronger. Yeah, I don't know.
We will see, I suppose.
That is interesting, Alan. The NBA is probably more supported there. Yeah, I have the same question, Holly. Why is the NBA supported there?
Are we talking Australia?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Alan kind of agrees with me, I guess. Henny makes him nervous watching him.
He always plays like this in preseason, though.
Yeah, but the last time we saw him in a regular season game, he didn't look much better. Do you remember Do you remember the interception I'm talking about? Like, he threw it right to the defender. It was like a red zone interception. That could have been way worse than it was.
Yes, I do.
So, oh, now another one's awake. I think I'm gonna have to get off here in a second, guys. I'm waking people up.
All right. Holly doesn't think the Bucks are going to be very good this season. They shouldn't, but have to look at their schedule. They're allowed to hold. They always get the refs. I hate them. Is football, NFL, the biggest sport in the USA? Just wondering. I would think so, but basketball is definitely up there. But yeah. I don't watch it since Jordan didn't play anymore, and they've got a wannabe, calls himself the greatest ever.
Yeah.
That just simply isn't. We've got an analytical video you should watch that I'll try to
not
find
one we created, point. But yeah.
Right. Somebody else's that don't want to get copyright strike.
Yeah, I think at one point,
get another video taken down.
Baseball was clearly the biggest sport for the longest time, and then I think between
the '93 strike happened, and I quit playing and quit watching, and I should have stuck with it. Damn it. Been greedy with them.
And attention spans have gotten worse during that time, so there's always movement in football. Football, basketball, those kind of sports.
Is that true? They're bringing back Winston? That's interesting. Be good to learn behind Brady, I suppose.
What?
Interesting
Winston
question.
in New Orleans.
Where are we? Because you went over some of those.
Yeah. Well, Daryl said that Herbert's better than Phyllis Rivers.
Definitely compared to where he was falling off.
And then Alan was just saying that there's a lot of Aussies in the NBA.
Okay. That makes sense.
Spread out among the different NBA teams. So, yeah, I guess, because of where Australia is, I kind of separate them. But I know that the NBA is fairly big in Europe and stuff, and so.
I would still be a Bulls fan.
Yeah, for me, I stopped watching back when Kobe Bryant was talked about as being the next GOAT, because I couldn't take him getting like five step travels and never getting called, and so it was like, I can't watch this,
Right.
Like the NBA went from Jordan getting fouled by 3 or 4 guys, like punching him,
Tackling.
as he was going to the rim, to Kobe Bryant getting to take 5, 6, 7 steps with the ball in his hand, never touching the court, and never getting called for it. So, like, that was basically it for me.
Luke Longley. Yeah, when they quit playing defense, basically,
Right.
when Jordan was no longer playing, I quit watching, and then he came back, I started watching, and I watched a little bit when he was with the Wizards, but not much. But he was still had his 50-something point games.
Yeah.
But, and I don't remember how old he was, but there's no topping that guy. If he would have stayed that whole time, I think they would have had 8 championships in a row.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're the GOAT. Self-proclaimed.
Hey, we could make this a whole live stream topic, but yeah. It's,
I will let you go.
4:20, so yeah, I'm gonna have to slip out and try to get some sleep, and hopefully these kids go back to sleep. So
hopefully we entertained you all.
So
have a great night, and we'll be back.
ha ha ha. You gonna hit the video here?
I am not quick enough.
So.
You got your team, and we got a kingdom. Ready for war, we score and win. We're the Super Bowl champs, the king of the hill.